Imagine you wake up, you grab your phone, and there's a notification waiting for you.
Just right there on the lock screen?
Exactly. And says, I found that high-end espresso machine you've been researching. The price dropped by 30% overnight on a certified retailer site.
Wow.
Right. And it continues. It says, I verified the warranty terms, applied a digital coupon code, and completed the purchase using your secondary card. It arrives tomorrow.
That is wild to even think about.
It is, because you never opened the search engine. You never, scroll through a page of blue links.
Yeah.
You never saw a single advertisement.
No, completely bypassed all of that.
Yeah, and you never actually visited the website of the company that just sold you a $1,000 appliance. The discovery, the research, the transaction, it all happened invisibly.
Executed by machines talking to other machines right in the background while you were literally asleep.
Right. And if you are a business owner, a content creator, or a developer, that scenario should absolutely terrify you. Because, how on earth do you get found on an internet where human beings have basically stopped actively searching?
Well, that invisible transaction, that is the exact endpoint we are rapidly accelerating toward right now.
Yeah.
We have spent, the last 25 years operating under a very specific, very human-centric model of digital discovery.
Right, building websites for people to actually look at.
Exactly. We built them to be visually appealing. We peppered them with keywords so search algorithms would rank them. And we fought for that top spot on a results page, basically just hoping a human would click.
Hoping for that one click.
Yeah. But the underlying architecture of information retrieval has been quietly replaced. We are no longer optimizing for human eyes.
So what are we optimizing for?
We're optimizing for autonomous agents that ingest data, synthesize it, and make decisions in literal milliseconds.
Which brings us to the massive stack of research we have on the table today. We got our hands on the SEO Daily Technology Report from June 20, 2026.
A really fascinating read.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Because our mission today for this deep dive is to decode the new rules of AI-driven visibility. The era of the search engine as a mere card catalog is officially dead.
It's gone.
Right. So if you want your business, your ideas, or your products to survive, you absolutely have to understand how to feed this new AI ecosystem.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the June 2026 report isn't just a list of feature updates from tech companies.
Right, it's bigger than that.
Much bigger. It is the official documentation of a massive paradigm shift. To navigate this, you really need to examine the new infrastructure that has been built over the past few months.
So we're talking about 4 major shifts today, right?
Yeah, exactly. We have to look at the new metrics being tracked, the technical overhaul of how websites communicate their meaning, the autonomous tools taking over the optimization process, and ultimately the complete redefinition of what a search query actually is.
Let's start with the metrics. Because for a long time, the whole generative AI boom felt like walking through a fog.
Oh, totally. Blindfolded.
Right. Everyone knew users were migrating to ChatGPT or Gemini to ask questions, but as a website owner, you were completely blind. You had zero analytics.
AI search was a total black box. You couldn't tell if an AI was summarizing your blog post or just completely ignoring it.
But early this month, the fog lifted. Google fundamentally changed the game by launching dedicated generative AI performance reports inside Google Search Console.
Yeah, they rolled this out to a subset of UK users first, but the underlying data architecture is now in place globally.
Which is huge.
It is. Google Search Console, which, has historically been the dashboard webmasters use to see how many clicks they get, now includes an entirely new key performance indicator stack built specifically for the generative age.
I want to break down these new KPIs because they completely change how marketing teams have to report their success.
Yeah.
We now have AI impressions.
Right.
In the old days, an impression just meant your link showed up on the page.
Yeah.
Even if the user just scrolled right past it without looking.
Exactly. A very passive metric.
So how does an AI impression actually work? If Gemini generates a 3-paragraph answer and my website is cited in a tiny footnote at the bottom, does that count as an impression?
It does, and that distinction is incredibly important. An AI impression is logged whenever your source material is utilized to generate the AI overview, and your link is rendered anywhere within that specific response block.
Even if it's buried?
Even if it's buried. It could be a prominent inline citation, or it could be hidden in a search carousel, but it goes deeper than that. The console now tracks AI CTR, or click-through rate.
Okay, AI CTR.
Yeah. This measures how often a human user actually clicks your citation to verify the source or learn more.
Honestly, that feels like a brutal metric to look at. With a traditional search, the whole goal was the click.
Right, the click was the prize.
But with an AI overview, the AI is actively trying to summarize the answer so the user doesn't have to click. I imagine AI CTRs are astronomically lower than traditional blue link CTRs.
The initial data from the UK rollout suggests exactly that. I mean, traditional top-ranking positions might enjoy a 20 to 30% click-through rate,
Right.
but AI CCRs are often hovering in the single digits.
Ouch.
Yeah, it's low. But that brings us to the most vital new metric in the report, which is the AI citation rate. This measures the percentage of time your domain is referenced when the AI generates an answer about a specific topical cluster.
Give me a concrete scenario for how a business actually uses that. Let's say I run a company that manufactures ergonomic office chairs.
Okay, good example. In the past, you tracked how often you ranked for the specific keyword best ergonomic chair.
All right, I check my rank every day.
Exactly. But now you track your AI citation rate across thousands of related, highly conversational queries. So when someone asks, what kind of chair is best for lower back pain if I sit for 10 hours a day?
Right, a real human question.
Yeah. You can see exactly how often Google's AI pulls your specific data into its answer for that prompt. This has formalized a new industry metric called AI share of voice.
AI share of voice. So if my competitor's brand is mentioned in 60% of AI responses about office chairs, and I'm only mentioned in 10%, they have essentially monopolized the AI's mind share.
That is the new reality. They own the narrative. But the introduction of these metrics also introduced a massive point of friction between publishers and the AI companies themselves.
Oh yeah, the opt-out toggle.
Yes. The Google Search Console update included a publisher opt-out toggle.
I saw this in the report, and I find the economics of it absolutely fascinating. Like you can log in your dashboard and flip a switch that says, do not use my content in your AI overviews.
Right, just a simple on-off switch.
But if I flip that switch, I mean, I'm basically erasing myself from the future of discovery, aren't I?
You are identifying the exact hostage situation that publishers currently find themselves in. Because if you opt out, sure, you protect your proprietary data.
My hard-earned research.
Exactly. Your journalism, your product reviews, they won't be scraped and summarized for free by a trillion-dollar tech company, but the cost of that protection is total invisibility.
Which is terrifying for a business.
It is. If users are primarily relying on AI overviews for their answers, and your site has opted out, your AI share of voice drops instantly to zero.
It's a lose-lose for the publisher. You either let the AI steal your content to build its answer, hoping you get a tiny fraction of a percent in click-throughs, or you just disappear entirely.
Yeah, that's the choice.
I imagine massive legacy publishers like, say, the New York Times, they can afford to opt out and force people to use their dedicated apps. But an independent blog or a mid-sized e-commerce brand, they have absolutely no leverage. They have to leave the toggle on.
And the data shows the vast majority of domains are leaving it on. But the fact that this data is now visible has spurred the third-party tooling market into absolute overdrive.
Because Google only shows you Google.
Exactly. Google Search Console only shows you what happens within Google's own ecosystem. It doesn't tell you a single thing about what ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude are doing with your content.
Which brings us to Ahrefs. Historically, Ahrefs built its reputation on crawling the web to map out backlinks. Right, they showed you who was linking to who.
Right, standard SEO stuff.
But the June 2026 report highlights their new brand radar feature. Ahrefs isn't just looking at traditional web links anymore. They are tracking multi-engine AI visibility.
Yeah, Ahrefs recognized that traditional authority metrics like domain rating are really only one piece of the puzzle now. Brand Radar actively tracks how often your domain is cited across ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Gemini.
I am really curious about the mechanism here. How do they actually do that? Because Google Search Console uses Google's own internal back-end data. But OpenAI isn't giving Ahrefs a backdoor feed of everything ChatGPT says.
No, definitely not. They achieve this through massive distributed prompt testing and headless browser automation.
Wow, okay.
Ahrefs has basically built a system that continually feeds millions of permutations of industry-specific prompts into these language models at incredible scale.
So they're faking it.
They essentially simulate human users asking questions across all these different AI platforms, and then they parse the generated text and log the citation links that come back.
So they're reverse engineering the AI's preferences by just bombarding it with questions and scraping the answers. That requires an unbelievable amount of compute power.
It does. It's massively resource intensive. But the output is a unified dashboard where you can actually correlate traditional SEO signals with AI citation patterns.
Give me an example of how that looks.
Well, for instance, Ahrefs can show you that while a new backlink campaign increased your traditional Google ranking by 2 spots, it simultaneously increased your likelihood of being cited by Perplexity by 40%.
That is incredibly valuable data.
Yep.
And they aren't the only ones doing this, right? Clearscope, which is a tool a lot of content marketers use to grade their articles, has introduced prompt tracking.
Yes, Clearscope is adapting really well here.
Because Clearscope's whole model used to be based on natural language processing. They'd analyze the top 10 Google results and tell you, hey, you need to use the phrase lumbar support 5 more times if you want to rank.
The classic content grade.
All right, so how does prompt tracking change that workflow?
Clearscope recognized that optimizing for a static search engine results page is just no longer sufficient. Their prompt tracking feature monitors the actual output of the language models when specific prompts are issued.
Okay.
So instead of just aiming for a high content grade based on keyword density, you can track how your content's actual phrasing directly influences the AI's generated summary.
Okay, so if I'm writing an article about supply chain logistics, I can actually test whether phrasing a core concept as a bulleted list versus a long explanatory paragraph makes it more likely for ChatGPT to extract my insight.
Precisely. It is the exact opposite of a static system. You are dynamically testing the ingest and spit out mechanics of the model itself. This is really the foundation of GEO, or Generative Engine Optimization.
GEO.
Yeah.
It is definitely the buzzword of the year. I mean, we have dedicated platforms emerging just for this now, like Peak, Trackings.ai, and Athena HQ.
And these platforms are crucial because they acknowledge a fundamental truth about this space. AI is not a monolith. You cannot just optimize for, quote-unquote, the AI.
Right, they all have different brains.
Exactly. You have to optimize for the specific architecture and training bias of the individual model you are targeting.
Let's break that down, because I think a lot of people assume an AI is just an AI, reads the internet, gives you the answer. But the report details how different platforms have wildly different citation preferences. Let's look at Perplexity first.
Perplexity is structured fundamentally as an advanced research engine. Its core directive is accuracy and attribution above all else. It heavily prioritizes recent, highly cited sources.
It wants the breaking news.
Yeah. If your content was published 3 years ago and hasn't been updated, Perplexity will likely ignore it entirely in favor of a mediocre article published yesterday that cites current data.
Wow. So for Perplexity, the whole strategy is velocity and freshness. What about ChatGPT? Because using it feels much more conversational.
ChatGPT's foundational model definitely favors conversational depth, but its retrieval systems heavily index on Google's traditional EEAT signals.
Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Exactly. ChatGPT wants to provide a safe, very comprehensive answer. It looks for content written by verifiable subject matter experts. It doesn't just want a bulleted list of facts, it wants the human context around those facts.
Okay, and then we have Claude, built by Anthropic. Claude has always felt a bit more academic to me, a bit more rigid maybe.
That's a good way to put it. Claude emphasizes nuanced, well-reasoned content. Its training puts a premium on logical flow, balanced arguments, and comprehensive analysis.
So no hot takes.
Right. If you publish an article that makes a sweeping, controversial claim without addressing any counter-arguments, Claude is much less likely to cite you as a definitive source than it would, say, a deeply researched white paper that explores both sides of the issue.
Man. So if I'm a content strategist today, my job has become exponentially harder.
Oh, without a doubt.
Because if I write a white paper, I need to make sure the core data is updated constantly to please Perplexity. I need to plaster my author credentials all over it to satisfy ChatGPT's EE requirements. And I need to structure the argument to be perfectly balanced for Claude. That's a lot of spinning plates.
It is exhausting, which is exactly why the developer community has stepped in to standardize how we communicate with these models, leading to the rapid adoption of the LMMs.txt standard.
I have seen this file popping up in the root directories of major websites lately. It immediately reminds me of the old robots.txt file.
A very similar concept, yeah.
Because for decades, robots.txt was how you told Googlebot, hey, don't crawl my admin pages or ignore these messy URLs. But this lms.txt file is different. It's not about blocking the bot, it's about guiding it.
It acts as a highly concentrated data feed. When an AI crawler hits your domain, the lms.txt file explicitly points the language model to your highest signal information.
It tells them where the good stuff is.
Exactly. It might say, here is the link to our official company history. Here's the raw JSON data of our product catalog, and here's a markdown file containing the core concepts we want to be known for.
It's essentially a cheat sheet for the AI. You're basically saying, don't bother reading my marketing fluff. If you want to know what this website is about, just read this file.
Precisely.
That is a brilliant way to ensure the AI doesn't hallucinate weird facts about your brand based on some outdated blog post from 2018.
It is all about removing ambiguity. And that concept removing ambiguity is really the perfect bridge into the structural changes outlined in the second phase of this report.
Because measuring your AI visibility is only the first step.
Right. The critical question is, how do you fundamentally structure a website so that an AI can understand it without any ambiguity whatsoever?
Right. If the old tricks of keyword stuffing and buying spammy backlinks are dead, what actually replaces them? I want to look at a very specific casualty mentioned in the report to illustrate this shift. The quiet, absolute execution of FAQ-rich results.
Oh, yeah. Between May and June of 2026, Google systematically eradicated visual SRP enhancements for FAQ schemas on desktop, and they drastically reduced their footprint on mobile.
Let's contextualize how big of a deal this is for the listener.
Wow.
Because for years, if you're an SEO professional, FAQ schema was your absolute secret weapon.
It was a guaranteed win.
You would write a blog post, and at the bottom, you would add 3 simple questions and answers. You would wrap that text in a specific type of code, and suddenly your standard Google listing would physically expand on the page.
You'd take up double the space.
Right. It would push your competitors down the screen because your listing had these interactive drop-down menus right there on the search results page. It was a massive visual billboard.
It was a visual dominance tactic, plain and simple. But Google recognized that rendering those visual accordions was totally redundant in a world where AI overviews are designed to synthesize the answers directly at the top of the page anyway.
But here is the wall I'm hitting. If Google killed the visual billboard, if I no longer get that massive expansion on the search page, why would I ever spend development resources writing FAQ schema code again? It seems like a total waste of time now.
The visual incentive is gone, yes, but the structural incentive has never been higher. This is the core misunderstanding among legacy SEO practitioners right now.
Okay, unpack that for me.
You are no longer coding JSON LD structured data to manipulate the visual layout of a search page. You are coding it to feed the back-end retrieval systems of large language models.
Okay, let's demystify JSON LD, because we throw that term around a lot in the industry. It stands for JavaScript Object Notation for Linked Data.
Right.
To a non-developer, it's just a hidden script. It's a block of text that sits invisibly in the header of your website's code. The human user never sees it. So what does that code actually do for an AI?
It acts as a universal translator. When a human reads a page, they naturally use visual cues like headers, bullet points, bold text to understand context.
Right, our brains just do that automatically.
But an AI can parse natural language, sure, but parsing takes massive compute power, and human language is inherently ambiguous. JSON LD removes that ambiguity by strictly defining what things actually are.
So instead of an AI having to guess that a paragraph of text is a recipe because it sees words like flour and bake,
Yes.
the JSON LD explicitly says, @type recipe, name chocolate chip cookies, prep time 15 minutes. It's labeling the data points.
Exactly. And this brings us to the broader strategy that dominates the 2026 report, which is entity SEO. We have fundamentally moved from mapping strings of text to mapping entities.
Explain the difference there. How does an AI process an entity versus a traditional keyword?
A keyword is just a sequence of characters. Apple is a keyword. But without context, Apple could mean a fruit, a technology company, or a record label.
Right, the string of text is identical.
Exactly. An entity, on the other hand, is a distinct, well-defined concept with specific attributes and relationships to other entities. Entity SEO is the practice of structuring your site so the AI explicitly understands those relationships.
I need a concrete example here. How do I physically execute entity SEO on a website?
Let's use a standard corporate About Us page as an example. The old keyword method involved making sure phrases like software development company in Seattle appeared frequently in the text.
Just stuffing the words in the paragraph.
Right. But entity SEO requires deploying an organization schema via JSON LD. You explicitly state the organization's legal name, its founding date, its founders who are individually tagged as person entities, and its physical location tagged as a place entity.
So it's all categorized perfectly.
And then, crucially, you link your organization entity to your official Wikipedia page or Wikidata entry using a same A's tag.
Ah, the same A's tag. So you are literally telling the AI the company described on this URL is the exact same entity as the company described on this established Wikipedia page.
Yes.
You are anchoring your website to a recognized knowledge graph.
You are building a web of verifiable context. And this is mandatory now because of the fundamental architecture of modern AI search, which is RA, or Retrieval Augmented Generation.
RAG is the engine powering all of this. Let's break down the mechanics of how RAG actually interacts with these entities, because it's fascinating.
It really is. When a user prompts an AI, the system doesn't rely solely on the static data it was trained on months or years ago. That would lead to massive hallucinations and outdated answers.
Right, it has to go look for new stuff.
Instead, it executes a retrieval phase. It takes the user's prompt, converts it into mathematical vectors, and searches a vast database, often the live web index, for information that mathematically closely matches the query.
So it's essentially looking for data that exists in the same neighborhood of meaning.
Correct. Once it retrieves those factual nuggets, it passes them to the generation phase. The language model uses those retrieved facts to augment its response, ensuring the final output is accurate and properly cited.
And this is exactly where the entities become critical. If my website is just a wall of beautifully written English prose, the AI has to spend massive compute power trying to extract the actual facts.
Right, it has to figure out what you mean.
But if I have perfectly structured JSON-LD defining all the entities on the page, the RAG system can just reach in and grab the exact data point it needs instantly.
You are drastically reducing the cognitive load on the machine. You are serving the exact data the RAG system needs on a silver platter. Content structured with clear entities is just fundamentally more retrievable.
But, whenever a system relies on a specific type of input, people figure out how to exploit it.
Always.
If AI overviews want easily extractable, perfectly structured entity data, what stops someone from just generating a million pages of perfectly structured garbage to hijack the AI citations?
Well, nothing stopped them initially. Throughout early 2026, we saw the rapid rise of what the industry calls citation farms.
The report mentions these. How exactly did a citation farm operate?
Bad actors realized that RJ systems often look for consensus. If multiple sources state the exact same fact, the AI views it as highly reliable.
That makes sense.
So these operators would spin up networks of hundreds of cheap WordPress sites. They would use generative AI to write thousands of generic, low-quality articles about a specific topic on, let's say, personal injury law.
The human-readable text was probably terrible, right? Just AI gibberish?
It was borderline unreadable for a human. But underneath, the JSON-LD schemas were immaculate. They built perfect entity maps, linking all these fake sites together, reinforcing the exact same data points.
Oh, wow.
So when an AI search engine's RJ system went looking for answers about personal injury law, it would hit this massive web of perfectly structured, interlinked data and mistakenly interpret it as a highly authoritative consensus.
They were essentially tricking the AI's math. They poisoned the well.
They did. But the June 2026 report outlines Google's definitive response to this, which was the AI search spam policy.
They brought the hammer down.
Google officially classified the manipulation of AI citations as spam. They deployed major updates to their helpful content systems, specifically designed to identify domains that are structurally optimized for machines, but devoid of actual value for humans.
So if your site has perfect entity markup, but the actual content demonstrates no real human expertise, you just get penalized. The loophole is officially closed.
The core lesson here is that structure cannot replace substance anymore. EET, experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness is now the governing law of AI search.
Right.
A language model might use JSON-LD to easily understand your content, but it will use your historical brand authority, your authorship credentials, and your real backlink profile to decide if it should trust you enough to actually cite you.
So you have to be a recognized authority in the real world, and you have to map that authority flawlessly in the code. I look at this and I just think, the sheer technical burden on a business owner right now is suffocating.
It's a lot to manage.
It's insane. You have to monitor multi-engine AI share of voice. You have to code complex JSON-LD entity structures. You have to ensure your server response times are lightning fast for the crawlers. And you have to do all of this while somehow demonstrating deep human expertise. How can a small or mid-sized team possibly manage this manually?
Well, the short answer is they can't. The complexity has completely outpaced human bandwidth. And that reality serves as the exact catalyst for Phase 3 of the report, which is the tooling revolution.
Okay, let's get into this.
Because as the search engines themselves evolved into autonomous AI systems, the SEO tools we use to manage our websites have undergone an equally dramatic autonomous evolution.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We are no longer just optimizing for AI. We are actually using AI to execute the optimization. The report focuses heavily on a new architecture called MCP servers, Model Context Protocol.
Yes. To appreciate how revolutionary MCP is, you have to consider the traditional workflow of an SEO professional.
Which was a nightmare.
It was. If traffic dropped, you had to log into an analytics platform, export a massive CSV file, cross-reference it with a crawl report from another tool, and manually hunt for the correlation line by line.
Right, and if you wanted to use an AI to help,
Yeah.
you had to upload that massive spreadsheet into ChatGPT and spend 20 minutes writing a complex prompt just explaining what all the columns meant.
And half the time, the AI would hallucinate the data anyway because it lost the context of the spreadsheet. Or if you were a developer, you had to write custom REST API connections to pipe the data from SEMrush into your own tools. It was brittle, it broke constantly, and it was exhausting.
So how does MCP fix that?
MCP eliminates that entire layer of friction. Model Context Protocol is an open-source standard that acts as a secure, universal bridge between an AI agent like Claude or Gemini and an external database or tool.
Like a universal translator cable you just plug in.
Exactly. SEMrush was actually the first to implement an MCP server in late 2025. This meant that a user could open their standard Claude interface and simply type, "Hey Claude, look at my SEMrush data. Compare my current entity gaps with my top 3 competitors, and tell me what structured data I'm missing to improve my AI citation rate."
And Claude can just securely reach through the MCP server, query SEMrush's massive database natively, pull the exact data, and synthesize the answer right there.
Yes.
I don't have to download a single file. I don't have to click through a single dashboard. It's like the graphical user interface is just dead.
The shift from navigating software to conversing with data is profound, and the adoption in the industry has been staggering. Throughout early 2026, Ahrefs, SE Ranking, and Data4CO all deployed their own MCP servers.
But it doesn't stop at just data analysis, right? The true revolution the report talks about is in execution. Consider the integration of MCP with content management systems.
You're talking about the AIOCO update for WordPress.
Yes. This part of the report honestly blew my mind. They granted AI agents 28 distinct abilities within the actual WordPress backend.
Let's consider the mechanics of that for a second. Through the MCP connection, an AI assistant isn't just reading your WordPress database, it has the authorization to alter it.
That's a huge leap.
It is. You can instruct your AI to audit your entire blog for orphaned content, pages with no internal links pointing to them.
A task that used to take like an SEO intern 3 days of clicking around.
Easily. But now the AI can identify the orphaned pages, analyze the semantic relevance of all your other articles, determine the most mathematically optimal places to insert internal links, generate the natural anchor text, and then actually execute the changes within the WordPress database. It takes action.
It logs in and does the work for you. And it's not just content updates. The Chrome DevTools MCP server allows AI to physically diagnose complex technical bottlenecks.
Right.
If my site is failing Core Web Vitals because it loads too slowly, the AI can run a Lighthouse audit, scan my raw code, pinpoint the exact line of JavaScript causing the render blocking issue, and rewrite the function to be asynchronous.
The tools have fully transitioned from diagnostic reporting to autonomous resolution, and the ultimate manifestation of this is the platform Search Atlas, and specifically their OTTO SEO system, which currently dominates the 2026 landscape.
OTTO SEO, the all-in-one autonomous autopilot. Let's really dig into how this works because to me, it sounds like science fiction.
It does sound like magic, but it's very real.
Traditional SEO platforms give you a to-do list. They crawl your site and say, hey, you have 500 missing meta descriptions and 80 broken links. Good luck fixing them this month. How does OTTO operate differently?
OTTO operates on a continuous autonomous loop of discovery and deployment. It monitors your site in real time. When it detects a technical issue, perhaps an H1 tag is missing, or a schema markup is malformed, it doesn't just generate a dashboard alert, it formulates the perfect fix, and then it deploys that fix live to your website through a single integrated pixel.
Okay, let's stop right there. Explain the single pixel deployment to me. How can a tracking pixel rewrite the actual code on my website?
It's dynamic DOM manipulation. The quote-unquote pixel is actually a lightweight JavaScript snippet installed in the header of your website.
Kind of like a Google Analytics code.
Exactly like that. When a user, or more importantly, a search engine crawler loads your page, that JavaScript snippet executes. It instantly checks the OTTO SEO backend.
Right.
If OTTO has determined that the page's title tag needs to be optimized for a new entity, the JavaScript intercepts the page load and dynamically rewrites the HTML of the title tag in the browser before the page finishes rendering.
So it alters the code on the fly.
Yes.
The underlying files on my server haven't changed at all, but the code that the Googlebot actually sees and reads has been perfectly optimized by the AI in real time.
Correct. It bypasses the development queue entirely. You don't have to submit a ticket to your engineering team to fix a broken link and wait weeks. The AI detects it, rewrites the HTML via the JavaScript snippet, and the problem is solved instantaneously.
I am sorry, but as someone who has managed large enterprise websites, the idea of giving an autonomous AI the power to dynamically alter my live HTML sounds like an absolute security and brand nightmare.
It is a terrifying prospect for a lot of CTOs.
What if the AI hallucinates? What if it decides that my carefully crafted pricing page is quote-unquote semantically inefficient and rewrites the entire layout, or accidentally deletes a core navigation link because it thought it was redundant?
You're hitting on the core vulnerability of the entire system, and it is the subject of massive debate in the industry right now. These platforms do have guardrails of course approval workflows, automated rollback features, and restricted scopes of action.
That's still.
But the fundamental tension remains. How much control are you actually willing to cede to a machine?
It's a massive leap of faith. But I look at the competitive landscape we're in now, and I realize I might not have a choice.
You probably don't.
If my competitor is using OTTO SEO to fix technical errors, patch schema issues, and optimize internal links at 3:00 a.m. while I'm sleeping, and I am still manually writing JIRA tickets for my dev team to hopefully address in the next 2-week sprint, I am going to be crushed.
The speed of the ecosystem dictates the tools you have to use. Search engines are updating their models and their retrieval algorithms constantly now. You cannot fight an algorithmic machine with manual human labor anymore.
You just can't keep up.
You have to deploy your own machines to keep pace.
Fight machines with machines. That is the reality of 2026. We have AIs writing the content, structuring the JSON all daily, dynamically rendering the HTML, and monitoring the analytics.
Every step of the pipeline.
Which brings us to the final and undoubtedly the most profound section of the report. The paradigm shift. We've established that AI is optimizing the websites. But the plot twist that fundamentally redefines the internet is that AI is now doing the searching for the human user too. The total death of the search query.
This is the culmination of every technical shift we have discussed today. In June 2026, Google made their AI mode globally available to all AI Ultra subscribers.
Right.
But the feature that fundamentally rewrites the physics of digital discovery is the introduction of 247 background information agents.
We touched on this in the introduction with the espresso machine example, but we need to really explore the mechanics and the economic implications of this.
Absolutely.
For the entire history of the web, search has been an episodic event. It is discrete. A human has a problem, they go to a search bar, they type a query, they get an answer, and they leave. The search begins and it ends.
It was a finite transaction triggered by human impulse.
But these background information agents, they are persistent, they never sleep.
Consider how a user interacts with a background agent. You don't type a traditional query. You issue a persistent parameter.
Give me an example of what that sounds like.
You might say to your agent, monitor the real estate market in these 3 specific zip codes. I am looking for a 3-bedroom house with a south-facing garden. Alert me the exact moment a property matching this description drops below $1 million, or if the local zoning laws change regarding home extensions.
Then I just put my phone in my pocket. I'm no longer actively searching for real estate.
The human is completely removed from the discovery loop. The invisible agent takes over. It continuously monitors real estate feeds, municipal websites, legal blogs, and financial news 24 hours a day. It is doing all the heavy lifting of parsing, filtering, and synthesizing on your behalf.
So what does this all mean for the businesses on the other end? If I run a local real estate agency or a news blog covering those zoning laws, how do I optimize my website for a search that never actually happens? How do I capture the attention of a human who isn't even looking at a screen?
You have to discard the mental model of one-time discovery. You are no longer trying to catch a user's eye as they scroll past on a busy highway. You are optimizing for continuous polling and recitation.
Continuous polling. Explain the technical reality of that to me.
An active background agent doesn't just index your site once and move on. If your site is structured perfectly with JSON LD entities and you possess high EEAT credentials, the agent identifies your domain as a high signal node for its specific task.
Okay, so it bookmarks me.
Yes. And because its directive is to monitor for changes, the agent will return to your site repeatedly, perhaps every hour or even every few minutes, polling your server to see if the underlying data has updated.
From a technical infrastructure standpoint, that sounds exhausting for a website. If millions of users deploy these agents, websites are going to be subjected to a constant barrage of automated traffic just checking to see if a price changed or a new article was posted.
The server load implications are extremely significant, which is exactly why providing clean, easily digestible LLMs.txt files and JSON LD structured data is so incredibly vital now.
You want them in and out quickly.
Exactly. You want the AI to hit your site, grab the structured data efficiently, and leave without consuming massive bandwidth rendering visual assets like videos or images it doesn't even need.
Okay, so the agent constantly polls my site. How does that translate into actual business value? Where's the ROI for me?
The ROI is realized through the compounding advantage of becoming a trusted data feed. Let's return to the real estate example.
Okay.
If your agency's site is the first to update its structured data with the price drop, the agent immediately detects it. The agent then pushes a proactive notification to the human user's device property match found, price reduced. Click here to view the agency's listing.
Wow, so the traffic doesn't originate from a search engine results page at all.
Right.
It originates from a personalized push notification generated by an AI system.
Yes. You aren't trying to rank for a keyword anymore. You are trying to become the preferred, reliable data supplier to the user's personal agent. The businesses that win in this era are the ones that integrate most seamlessly into the AI's background monitoring loop.
It is a complete shift from performative marketing,
Yeah.
making things look flashy, to grab human attention to structural utility. You win by having the cleanest data, the most accurate entities, and the fastest updates.
It strictly rewards substance and architecture over visual manipulation.
Let's take a breath and pull all of these threads together, because the landscape we've mapped out today is just staggering.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. We started by looking at the death of the black box. We now have the metrics, AI impressions, AI citation rates, and AI share of voice inside Google Search Console and tools like Ahrefs Brand Radar. We finally know how often the machines are talking about us.
And then we examine the structural revolution required to actually improve those metrics. The visual tricks like FAQ schema are dead, replaced by the strict necessity of JSON LD entity SEO.
Right.
We have to map our digital presence to real-world entities so that retrieval augmented generation systems can confidently extract our facts without ambiguity.
And we recognize that building this structure manually is basically impossible now, leading to the rise of MCP servers and autonomous agents like OTTO SEO. We are actively granting AI the power to physically rewrite our website code in real time just to keep pace with the evolving algorithms.
All of which serves to position our platforms for the ultimate reality of the 2026 web, the persistent background information agent. A world where search is continuous, passive, and executed entirely by machines on behalf of humans.
So to you, listening to this deep dive right now, whether you are a local business owner, a massive e-commerce brand, or a developer, your mandate has fundamentally changed. You are no longer building billboards on a digital highway.
Not at all.
You are constructing data feeds for an invisible ecosystem. The goal is to be deeply understood, perfectly structured, and continuously cited by the world's most powerful language models.
But as we conclude this analysis, we really must confront the logical endpoint of the architecture we have just described. Every single update in this report points toward a specific, somewhat unsettling convergence.
Let's take that a step further. What is the logical endpoint here?
Consider the two sides of the digital exchange. On the consumer side, human users are increasingly outsourcing the acts of discovery, reading, and monitoring to their 247 background agents.
The human is stepping back from the screen.
Yes. And on the publisher side, businesses are outsourcing the acts of writing, structuring, and optimizing code to autonomous agents via MCP servers and dynamic deployment tools.
So we have autonomous agents conducting the search and autonomous agents building and optimizing the content to satisfy that exact same search.
Precisely. We are rapidly approaching an internet where the vast majority of web traffic, the actual transfer of data and execution of commerce, consists simply of AI machines talking to, optimizing for, and reading other AI machines.
A closed loop of artificial intelligence. If the machines are writing the web and the machines are reading the web, what happens to the human web?
That is the question that will define the next decade of digital existence.
That's definitely a thought to keep you up at night. Until next time, keep diving deep.